he's a mafia don, that he co-founded a street gang called YSL.
Your response was yes. Is that correct? All right. At this point, you have the absolute right to plead not guilty.
I'm on a block where they gon' wait for you to fail, then tell you. That's how I want for sure. You gon' need 3 promoters. Hey, I told her roll me up a blunted on my face. I done did the robbing, I done did the jacking. Now I'm full rapping. Take this shit to motherfucking try, yeah. Take this shit to motherfucking try, yeah.
The YSL trial is finally starting. November 27th, we will begin to hear opening statements from both sides in the YSL trial. Welcome back to BrainFLoTv. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Click the bell next to the subscribe button and stay close to us as we stay close to this trial. A lot of people on this trial have been asking me to please cover the YSL trial. We need to know what's going on with Young Thug and how it's going down. There were so many moving pieces to this trial, and trying to keep up with this trial and keep up with the YNW Melly trial, it's just been extra work that was too much. So we focused on the YNW Melly trial, but now that this has been compiled and is ready to start, we'll give you the entire rundown. Shout out to Rolling Stone. Here we go. The YSL trial is finally starting, and here's what you need to know. Prosecutors say that Young Thug isn't just a rapper or a rap star or a superstar, but he's actually a calculated gang leader. His lawyers say that's not true. He is a businessman. He does music and art and entertainment. He is innocent of these accusations and these charges. One of the year's most closely watched court cases is about to get underway in Atlanta after lengthy delays. It's been a while. They've been trying to get to where they could actually select a jury and get on with it. Here we are. The most notable instance to date of rap on trial is finally about to get underway in Atlanta, Georgia. After a jury selection process whose length broke state records, it's never taken this long before to select a jury in the history of Atlanta, Georgia. The YSL RICO trial is set to begin on November 27th. Judge Ural Granville, Fulton County prosecutors, and defense attorneys vetted more than 600 people to determine the best set of jurors for this high-profile case. Multi-platinum rapper Young Thug, aka Jeffrey Williams, is the most well-known defendant standing trial in this case. He's facing 8 counts in the 65-count indictment, with prosecutors alleging that he is the gang leader of a subset of the Bloods called Young Slime Life that they claim are responsible for murders and other violence in the area of Atlanta. They turning up shit in the city. They're the ones. Last year, on May 9th, 2022, Fulton County prosecutors announced the indictment of Williams as well as rappers Sergio Gunner, who's out now, Kitchens, Arnold, Lil Duke Martinez, Diamante, Yak Gotti, Kendrick, Williams' brother Quantavious Onfunk Greer, and 23 other people that District Attorney Fannie Willis accused of being part of the YSL criminal organization. Their defense attorneys have repeatedly stated their innocence, with Williams' lawyers Brian Steele declaring on television, he says, Mr. Williams committed no crime whatsoever, and we will fight to my last drop of blood to clear him. When he said that on television, I knew it's up from here. This is the reason why it's taken so long to select jury. The prosecution's usage of lyrics, music, videos, social media posts as evidence has sparked outrage from criminal justice reform advocates who see this as a First Amendment violation and exemplifies the racially motivated criminalization of rap music. I mean, let's be for real. They're not going to take any actors out of Hollywood, especially white actors who do scenes where they murder people in a lot of movies, and they're not going to take any other genre of music. Those artists who sing about killing their girlfriends or killing her mom or something like that, right? So this is seen by not only rap fans, but people in the industry, artists, as a big old warning shot as well, as something beyond their control. Whatever you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, to include the lyrics to your songs. They're saying this should never be because it's art. But on the other side, the prosecution is saying they are committing crimes and they're making songs about them. Now, we could argue this all we want to, but what rap has turned into in recent times is, if you never did it, don't speak about it, because then you're lying and you're fake and you're a fraud. So what ends up happening is, when a lot of these rappers are speaking about criminal activities, if they haven't done it, they're close to somebody who did it or is doing it. And law enforcement has finally caught on to that. So in the 18 months leading up to the jury being seated, numerous defendants have struck plea deals, including Kitchens, which is Gunna, who took an Alford plea. You can go look up, Google what an Alford plea is, read out in the details. Now, the source close to the case said this was devised to neutralize him and to keep him out of the game by keeping him from testifying without conceding guilt. Wow. At press time, now before I go further, y'all remember, there's still a lot of people out here saying Gunna snitched, and then there are a lot of people saying Gunna did not snitch. We break it down here on BrainFLoTv like this. Gunna snitched. He snitched in front of everybody. His lawyers and him can call it what it is. But when you have Young Thug who is saying YSL is not a gang, and he is standing on that and taking it to trial, and then you have Gunna, who is supposed to be like Young Thug's right-hand man, get in a courtroom and he's asked, is YSL a gang? And he says, yes, it is. Is it a criminal organization? He says, yes, it is. Furthermore, he answered even more damaging questions with a yes, ma'am, and yes. By his own account, he is aware of members of this gang who have done criminal activities in furtherance of this gang. Yes, ma'am. We can go on, but call it what it is. Now back to this. As of press time, 6 defendants are still facing trial, with 9 defendants having pled out and 12 others served from the trial, or severed from the trial. Really, severed, taken away from the trial. They don't have to worry about it anymore. They have 12 of those. 6 of them are still facing trial, and 9 people have taken deals and are sitting outside. Another defendant, Cordarius Dorsey, saw his RICO case dropped in the interest of judicial economy after he was twice convicted of murder within the past year. Now, what that means is he already has 2 murders on him. He's never coming out. It's like a waste of money to even go in and put him in something else, right? Ain't no chance of him coming out. He's just about to go do life without the possibility of parole at this point. Now, what charges are Young Thug and the YSL members facing? Just so you have a clear breakdown. There's a 65-count indictment, and it charges 28 people with crimes such as murder, attempted murder, armed robbery, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, theft, drug dealing, carjacking, racketeering, and witness intimidation. The indictment claims that YSL isn't just a record label named Young Stoner Life Records, but a gang called Young Slime Life, that's been operating since 2012 and has affiliation with the National Bloods gang, with some members also claiming the Blood set or subset gang Sex, Money, Murder, or 30 Deep. Young Thug is charged with 8 counts of those 65 counts. 8 counts. Conspiracy to violate the Racketeer Influenced and Corruption Organization Act, or Corrupt Organization Act, which is also known as RICO. Participation in criminal gang activity. 3 counts of violating the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. Possession of a firearm while committing a felony, and possession of a machine gun. The latter 6 charges stem from items that the police retrieved during the May 9th of 2022 raid at Young Thug's Atlanta mansion. His legal team maintains that he is innocent of all these charges. Now, the most serious allegation that Young Thug is facing is the prosecution's assertion that he was involved in a 2015 murder of Donovan Big Nut Thomas Jr. See, all the other charges, they're leading here, there, and everywhere. They can be fought. The time for those can be argued and bartered and lowered. Possession of a machine gun, whatever else they want to put there. But if that murder charge sticks, oh, Thugger is out of there for a long time. So, back to that. The most serious allegation sticking around for Thug that he will have to go fight in court is his involvement in the 2015 murder of Donovan Big Nut Thomas Jr., an alleged Inglewood Blood gang member who was fatally shot outside an Atlanta area barbershop. This is what the prosecution is throwing at Young Thug. Thomas aided Atlanta rapper YSL, a rival of Young Thug's, at the outset of Lucci's career, and Fulton County DA Fannie Willis claims that the shooting sparked a rivalry between Young Thug and YSL's sets. Young Thug's set being YSL and YFN being Lucci's crew, which created violence like Atlanta has never seen, she said. Prosecutors allege that Williams, Young Thug, rented a car, a Infiniti sedan, that was used in commission of Big Nut or Thomas's murder, and co-defendant Antonio Monk Tonk Sledge will reportedly testify in court that Young Thug gave him the money to lay low after they did the murder. Thug's lawyers again deny this claim. Now, if Monk Tonk, it's funny these names, right? Because Young Thug's brother's name is Ongfunk, and then there's another one here called Monk Tonk. So you have Monk Tonk and Ongfunk. It's laughable. But anyways, back to this. This is a friend, or used to be a friend, a close associate. So if he's going to go to court and say, Young Thug called that shot, he told us to go kill Big Nut. And then after we did it, we came back to him and we let him know that it was done. And he gave us money and said, take this, go get you an Airbnb off grid, lay low for a while, chill. And we did. That's what's the testimony that could be the most damaging testimony for Young Thug. This is another reason why the judge, through so many tries, I believe 3rd, 4th, has denied Young Thug bond, bail, letting him out. The judge said, I see you as a threat because you surely have the finances, the resources to do so, and you have the power to do so, because there are a lot of these guys around you that look up to you and they move on your word. So if he let him out, the judge is saying he could possibly interrupt this whole process. Witness intimidation is one of the biggest concerns. Not to mention, some of the guys who were involved and gave up profit statements already said behind the scenes, we're afraid of him. Y'all have no idea how powerful he is. I'm concerned for my family, man. So although I want to say stuff, y'all gonna have to be able to protect us for us to be able to tell you what you need to know. Now, we could look at this as just friends rolling over on friends, snitching, trying to get less time behind bars, unfaithfulness, betrayal, all that. Or you could look at it like the prosecution is trying to paint the picture that Thugger is a monster. The indictment frames Williams as the gang leader, which is Young Thug, noting an alleged conversation in which two co-defendants are said to have discussed how to get permission from Young Thug to kill Rayshawn Bennett, which is YSL, while he was behind bars, and what the payment would also be like. Elsewhere, the indictment also claims that Young Thug made YSL a well-known name by referring to it in his songs and on social media, referencing 9 songs from his catalog where he raps about YSL and YSL out here tearing shit up and YSL out here putting it down in these streets and YSL doing this and YSL doing that. Young Thug is facing up to 20 years in prison. I know a lot of people are saying, damn, he must be facing life in prison without the possibility of parole. I mean, with all these charges, there's a lot of information going around that a lot of people don't understand. So it's like a whole blur. Well, we're clearing all that up in this video. So far, he's looking at 20 years in prison, max. If that murder charge sticks, and it comes out that he gave the order and he also paid for the shooters to go lay low after they committed the murder, oh, he could be looking at way more than 20 years in prison. Now, as of press time, 9 defendants in this case have already taken deals. Let's talk about who's taken a deal so far. So we have Gunna, or Sergio Kitchens, his government name. Gunna took a deal. Walter Murphy took a deal. Winnie, Slim Life Shorty took a deal. Lee, Slim Life Shorty, or his name is Winnie Slim Life Shorty Lee, he took a deal. Arnold, Little Duke Martinez, he took a deal. Trantavius Stephens, or Tick is his name, he took a deal. Antonio Monk Tonk, the same person who is supposed to go to court and testify that that they were given money after the murder to go lay low by Young Thug. He took a deal. His street name is Sledge, or his moniker. Then Antonio Obama Sumlin, he took a deal. Williams' brother, Quintavious Onk Funk Greer, this is Young Thug's brother, he took a deal and got out. And then he violated the conditions of his release and got put back in prison and sentenced, and he's now doing time, right? Durante BB initially refused a plea deal, but he reached one on November 3rd, 2023, being sentenced to 15 years, 5 years in prison, and he will serve the other 10 on probation. When you jammed up in that spot and they're telling you that you about to get 30 and you'll have to do at least 20 before you're eligible for parole, but here's a deal, and in this deal, you get to do 5 and you do 10 on parole, but you get hit with 15. You start doing maths real quick. Do I want to do 20 years in prison when I could actually do 5 and do the rest on probation? It's up to you. A lot of people talk about 10 toes down until it's time to go 10 toes down for real. So on December 14th, Gunna pled guilty to 1 count of racketeering conspiracy and was immediately released from jail after being given a 1-year sentence that was commuted to time served, then a 5-year suspended sentence, and 500 hours of community service. It is also said that in his community service, he's supposed to go around and speak to young people, maybe at schools and parks and, boys and girls clubs and whatever, about gangs and the dangers of gangs like YSL in their community. Remember, he sat there in court and he said YSL is a gang and, they're into dangerous shit. And he's aware of that. Right. So footage of his Alford plea hearing went viral because we all saw it. And I don't know why they released it to the public other than they were trying to use him as bait to pull some other people out who might be lurking in the bushes. And some were outraged. A lot of people were outraged to hear Gunner affirming the prosecution's claim that YSL is a criminal organization. They asked him that on camera. He said, yes, it is. Is it a gang? Yes. Yes, ma'am. All this while, Young Thug is still saying it's not a gang. We are a record label. Still, a source that is close to Gunner told Rolling Stone in December that the rapper will not be testifying during the trial, which is the only way that those comments could be used in court against his co-defendant. I don't know how he is not being testified or he's not going to testify, because a part of Gunner's deal is that if he is called to testify, he must testify. They gave him an out. They said, you must testify, but we'll give you a leadway so you can take yourself out. So tell on everybody else. Just leave out anything that incriminates you. Damn. Well, Stevens also pled guilty to racketeering and was sentenced to 10 years. But he received two years time served and 8 years of probation. In his plea statement, he affirmed the prosecution's claim that Thug chided him and other YSL members in a group chat, expressing, he says, y'all ain't beat him up or shot him yet? Y'all getting soft. This is about an unnamed victim that they were supposed to go get at. So basically, he rolled over on Young Thug. He said, yeah, Thugger wanted us to beat him up and shoot him and do things to him. And then they caught a message and they asked him about it. And he said, yeah, that's what he was doing. He was basically ridiculing us, schooling us, saying, y'all getting soft. Y'all ain't beat him up or shot him yet. And for that, his deal was 10 years, but he only gets to do 2 time served and then 8 on probation. Greer pled out to 1 count of violating the RICO Act and 1 count of theft by receiving stolen property. He was sentenced to 12 years, with 2 years being committed to time served, and the remaining 10 years would have been served on probation. He also had to complete 750 hours of community service, and he was supposed to avoid all contacts with his brother, which is Young Thug. This is Umfung, that is Greer, which is Young Thug's brother. These are his conditions. He was supposed to avoid all contacts with Thugger or any other individual in the indictment. He's been mum, hasn't said anything, but has apparently been communicating his feelings about the case through other people. Days after his release, late in 2022, Umfong took to Instagram Live to directly reveal that the stipulations of his plea precludes him from using certain terms that the indictment classifies as gang terminology. During the video, one of his friends says, "We can't even wipe our nose." Another member of the crew says slat, and someone else says we can't say that either. He had to go back in his album and redo lyrics, so to reduce the possibility of his own music being used against him as well. Now in May of 2023, things got hairy because Greer, Young Thug's brother, he was arrested and charged again after he got released on this deal with possession of firearm by convicted felon, and participation in a criminal street gang. So he was still out riding around, riding dirty, getting down in the streets, doing what he do, as well as the window tints and seatbelt violation after a traffic stop in Atlanta. He's currently sitting back behind bars again. So as Rolling Stone got it laid out for us, right? What are some of the most notable pre-trial moments? Well, here we go. So though Jeffrey Williams, aka Young Thug, wasn't granted bail, even though they tried many times to get him out on bond before the trial, he wasn't granted that. And his defense had scored some legal victories, though, that will actually help him during his court proceedings. Now, on December 16th of 2022, Judge Granville ruled to suppress evidence the prosecution had seized from a phone that was confiscated from Williams in 2015. Granville agreed with the defense motion, arguing that the phone was retrieved in an unconstitutional search and should have been returned in 2017. So they got that win from the judge. That phone had a lot of incriminating shit on it. So that's a win. Now, a week prior, Steele filed a motion to suppress Williams' lyrics as evidence in the case. This is Young Thug's lawyer. He filed a motion to suppress the lyrics as evidence in the case, which means don't use his lyrics against him. Steele stated that using these lyrics, poetry, artistry, speech against Mr. Williams is racist and it's discriminatory because the jury will be so poisoned and prejudiced by these lyrics, poetry, artistry, speech as same in unlawful character assassination. But as viral footage of Granville reading Young Thug's slime shit lyrics indicates, his lyrics have still been used in the courtroom. Earlier in the court proceedings, during a June of 2022 bond hearing, prosecutor Don Gary read dozens of lyrics from Young Thug's tracks as evidence for why he believes that the artist is a danger to the community and should not be freed before his trial. And guess what? He won that because Thugger was not freed. In August of last year, so they've been using his lyrics against him. In August of last year, Fulton County DA Fannie Willis was defiant about using lyrics in the cases, stating, she said that people can continue to be angry about it. I have some legal advice though. Don't confess to crime on rap lyrics if you do not want them used, or at least get out of my county. In January, jury selection was interrupted by a defiant Khalif Adams, reportedly walking up to Williams in court. And this one went viral on social media, on regular media. I never seen anybody do anything as stupid as this. But he walked up to Young Thug in court and handed Young Thug a Percocet pill. I looked at that as Khalif was trying to set Young Thug up. But Young Thug turned around and immediately handed it over to the authorities. He was like, I don't want no part of this. This is stupid. Why are you doing this here? You know it's about 100 cameras on us. He didn't say those words, but his body language said it all. Like, what kind of setup is this? Who encouraged you to do this? So Williams' lawyer, Brian Steele, said that Williams doesn't even know Adams. He's not one of our associates. We don't know him. He just came out of nowhere and handed me a Percocet pill in court. He doesn't even know him. Adams was already serving life for a 2019 murder conviction. So he's a crash out person that has nothing to lose anyways. He already got life. What more are you going to give him? Life again? So Williams was not charged with that because they could not establish any kind of relationship prior between these two individuals. Now, Adams' lawyer accused the Fulton County deputy of tasing and assaulting him After the incident, Adams claims follow Rodelius Ryan's accusations that a Fulton County deputy punched him in his head while he was being transported from jail to court. The sheriff claimed that Ryan was being uncooperative and he spat on the deputy rather. But what some people are saying it is they wanted him to give that pill, to the Percocet pill, to Young Thug in court. And they thought that Young Thug would take it and try to hide it in his persons, right? And Thugger didn't do that. But in order to get him to give Thug the pill, set Thug up, they had to beat the brakes off him on his way there. That's why he filed claims of being punched in the head and punched in the face and abused on his way to court. In May, a defendant named Jaden Myrick, he was severed from the case for exhibiting signs of schizophrenia and admitting that he hadn't been taking his psychiatric medication. Now, y'all seen this in videos that were put out. He was sitting there in court just saying stuff over and over on repeat, looking like he was in distress. It looked like a psychotic break, really. Now, during a hearing, Myrick told Judge Granville that President Biden and ex-President Donald Trump were assisting him with his defense. He said that numerous other defendants were severed from the case, and in September, Cordarius Dorsey had his RICO charges dropped after being convicted of murder in a separate case, or in separate cases, for the second time in less than a year. This is the person who a lot of people looked at him and they said, listen, he just trying to play crazy now because he tired of those charges adding up. So he trying to play crazy to get away with something. Well, he already got 2 murder charges that he got found guilty on, both of those. So at this point, he's probably really just losing his mind because he ain't never coming out, right? And in July, you had Jimmy Wee Roscoe Winfrey, or Jimmy Winfrey, who's otherwise known as Pee Wee Roscoe. Pee Wee Roscoe was arrested in Las Vegas after being on the run for 14 months, hiding out, laying low. And he's facing 4 charges in the YSL indictment. In 2015, Pee Wee Roscoe pled guilty to shooting Lil Wayne's tour bus in Atlanta, but the conviction was later overturned. Young Thug and Birdman were previously investigated for involvement in that shooting in 2018. Birdman has denied any involvement in any of this. Don't call my name. Put some respect on my name when you say it. I'm staying out the way. Well, you know, in August, you have Fulton County prosecutors filed a motion asking Judge Granville to restrict discovery material in the case from going public after a witness name was revealed. During the hearing, prosecutor Don Gary told the judge that we found a lot of information concerning one of our witnesses on basically a celebrity news outlet, Judge. This is not okay. And D.A. Fannie Mae Willis added that the state now has grave concerns about the safety of that named witness and other potential witnesses in this trial. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported that the witness was placed in protective custody. Both Williams and Kitchens, this is both Gunna and Young Thug, they were repeatedly unsuccessful with their pretrial bond motions. This is before Gunna actually got out. But Judge Granville denying both men bond on several different occasions, citing his concerns about their potential danger to witnesses in the case. On one occasion, Williams' attorney, Steele, asked the judge to approve Williams' release to rural Georgia in a house without any internet, without any electronic media, without any access to anyone except his lawyers. And that request was denied. He said, we will take Young Thug and we will go put him way out in the sticks, in the woods, in some part of Georgia nobody knows about. And I want him in a house he won't even have internet. He won't have any access to anybody. We just don't want him in a cell. The judge said, nah, I'm not buying that. This man got a lot of money. He can make a lot of moves outside. He needs to be kept in here. So in November, Granville denied the prosecution's request to delay the trial until March of this year, noting the incarcerated defendant's rights to a speedy trial. Now, most of these people have no bonds. That is something that weighs heavily on the court in terms of a start date for this trial, Granville said at a hearing. They deserve to have rights to go to trial. Speedy trial concerns continue to be raised throughout the 10 months jury selection process, which was the longest jury selection process in Georgia's history. Both prosecutor and defense attorneys spent that time whittling down hundreds of citizens in order to get to this 12-person jury with 6 alternates. So that's 18 people selected from a pool of 600 people. The jury reportedly consists of 7 black women. Y'all listen up, because they're going to court. The jury consists of 7 black women, 2 white women, 2 black men, and 1 white man. At least 122 potential jurors requested to be dismissed from the jury, citing various hardships. I gotta go to work. This little money y'all giving us for jury duty can't even buy gas. My family is hurting. We hurting financially. Some people might have said, stuff like that. Now, in early of January, the court's 37-page jury questionnaire leaked online, with jurors being asked questions such as, do you listen to hip-hop or rap music? And do you have any opinion about a person who has head and neck tattoos? These are typical questions to see where their mind is at. Jury selection had been riddled with sensational moments. On January 12th, Judge Granville penalized a citizen who skipped out on jury selection for the Dominican Republic by making her write a 30-page essay on the importance of jury service in lieu of a contempt of court charge. I watched the video. The judge said you will have to pay $1,000 or serve 20 days in jail. However, I'll give you instead an assignment. You complete this assignment and submit it to me electronically, then you won't have to pay the $1,000 and spend 20 days in jail. This 30-page essay must be about the importance of jury duty and about race as it applies to jury duty, because people that look like me and you, she was a black female, he's a black judge, people that look like me and you were not allowed to serve on juries up until recent times in the history of America. And this must come from peer-reviewed, cited sites, and it will be ran through a system for plagiarism or anything like that. And once I've marked it, then you won't have to worry about. So the juror who skipped out to the Dominican Republic actually completed the assignment. I mean, it's $1,000 and 20 days in jail, or write a 30-page assignment. Despite her writing, they should all be in jail, is what somebody said. You'll continue their evil ways. In her questionnaire, prosecutor Adriana Love framed her as a perfect juror for both sides. Love continuously pushes for the jurors' inclusion before she was struck. Who will be going to trial and who will be testifying? Okay, Judge Granville has told the jury that he expects a 6 to 9 month trial for the people who are standing trial. That is to include Young Thug and all the others, who are now down to 6. So the judge is saying it's going to take 9 months for Jeffrey Williams, Diamante Kendrick, Shannon Stillwell, Quamarvius Nichols. I don't know why you name your damn kid Quamarvius, but that's the name. Quamarvius Nichols, Rodelius Ryan, and Marquavius Huey. Those are all the people who are standing 10 toes down with Young Thug. They have no special deals. They did not get out on bond. They're held with no bond. And they have no deals for them, so they have to go to court. And they're not rolling over. They're not saying, listen, cut me a deal and I'll tell you anything against them. So at the end of this, I think if Young Thug, say, for instance, wins and is released along with the others, or if he could probably look back at these other 5 guys and said, these are the 5 solid guys that were left out of the 28 of us that got indicted. Wow. Now, last November, prosecutor Adrian Love told Glanville, the judge, that they expected to call more than 300 witnesses to trial, and later released a potential witness list that included notable names such as Birdman, Rich Homie Quan, YSL, and Lil Wayne, whose tour bus was shot up. And that is mentioned in the YSL indictment. Young Thug's witness list, this is the witness list for the prosecution. Obviously, if the prosecution's calling witnesses, it's so they can use information from them against Young Thug to get a conviction. 300 witnesses is what they have, to include all these famous people names. Most of these famous people already said, hey, I plead the 5th. Don't even call me because I won't have a damn thing to say. Rich Homie Quan, Birdman, YSL, Lil Wayne, even YSL being in the situation that he is in. Rumored to have been shanked up, stabbed up behind bars at the order of Young Thug and all that. YSL still said, listen, I'm 10 toes down. My dramas is in the street. My beef is in the street. We handle it on the road. I don't have nothing to say. Don't call me to court. I don't have a damn thing to say. If you call me and put me on that stand, I am going to close my mouth and not utter a word. Young Thug's witnesses list include fellow rapper, Atlanta rapper Killer Mike, as well as music executive Kevin Liles and Layer Cohen. The potential witness list for the co-defendant Miles Slato Farley includes rapper Future, T.I., and Trippie Redd. These people are probably just coming in for character witnesses. Your Honor, he is no gang member. I've worked with him for years. He is signed to a multi-million-dollar contract. He has millions of dollars. He is running a successful record label. He is not known to be someone in the streets causing chaos and harm to anyone, blah, blah, blah. That's probably what those witnesses are coming in to say. I remember one of these, Kevin Liles. Kevin Liles got on the stand. Kevin Liles is a multi-millionaire big honcho in the music industry. One of the gatekeepers, holds a lot of power. And Kevin Liles took the stand and he said to the judge that Young Thug has money, lots of it. And I got money, lots of it. I'll put my money up and Young Thug will put his money up. But I'll definitely put my money, my properties, everything up just to have him released. And the judge still denied him bond. Now, despite these big names, the most notable testimony of that trial may be from the person we spoke about before. Remember, I told you Young Thug's brother's name is Umfunk. Well, this other person, Muntunk Sledge, that's going to be a nail in the coffin if he gets up there and says it how it is expected by the prosecution for him to be said. See, Muntunk's testimony is part of his plea agreement. He's expected to testify that Young Thug gave them the money to lay low after they killed Big Nut, which is Donovan Thomas Jr., the person who was associated to YSL, who the prosecution is alleging His death is what sparked the war between YFN or YFN Set and YSL, and started all the shootings and killings and extortions and whatever else was going on behind that in the city of Atlanta. The jury's perception of his testimony will play a large role in Young Thug's fate. Opening statements for this trial will begin November 27th. Stay tuned. A lot of people are going to be tuned into this. And stay tuned to this channel as well, as we also follow the YNW Melly trial. But for right now, I repeat, November 27th, opening arguments will begin, and we will witness the start of Young Thug's RICO trial. Leave your comments in the comment section below. You think that Thugger is going to prison, or do you think he's gonna win this and go on to be released and come out and drop a hot album and go on tour and get back to his superstar life? Or do you think that he is going to be convicted and hit with a lot of time? I'll wait for your comments and stay tuned. I'll catch y'all on the next video. It's BrainFLoTv. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm out. Peace.